Hi guys, my name is Cordell, or as you might know me from my shorts, Motorcycle. And today I wanted to talk about the bike that, allergy season here in West Virginia. I wanted to talk about the bike that I've been posting a lot of shorts on, teasing my day one ownership to, 2 weeks ago, and the sound video that I did. It was just a clip of it idling, which I think sounds amazing. One of my favorite sounding bikes. Yeah, definitely check out my shorts if you haven't seen those. But today I wanted to do a real video. I actually had some time and actually had a plan on what I was going to do. So I want to talk about the 5 things I love about this bike. There's so many things that I really enjoy about this bike that it was kind of hard to pick, my top 5. And these aren't going to be in any kind of chronological order per se, but I wanted to do this, and I also wanted to do a kind of the top 5 things that I hate about this bike. That'll probably be my next video on it. But I know a lot of people are starting to get really interested in these old bikes. You can pick them up for fairly cheap. I think I paid $1,500 for this bike, and it was, it was kind of rough when I got it, but a few months and I had it running, not to where it is by now by any means, but I had it running to where I could at least go out and have a blast on it. So with all that being said, one of my top favorite things about this bike is just the way it sounds. It's similar to Harley in the aspect of both pistons are, well, I guess Harley's near top dead center, but these pistons are both at top dead center at the exact same time. The way they did it was one cylinder's dead, next cylinder fires, and vice versa. So they're not top dead center, both getting fuel, both getting spark. They alternate, which creates that kind of V-twin sound. And this thing on D-cell, going down a hill, just letting the engine brake hold you back, just sounds wild. Almost like a thunder rumbling, kind of. I don't know how else to explain it. When I get a GoPro and start doing, moto vlogs, I'm definitely gonna do some rides on this and kind of give you guys an idea how bad the hardtail rides, which is what I found to be a bit of a myth. But at any rate, I would say that's number 1. My second favorite thing would probably be the vibrations you get out of this bike. It's not one of those bikes where your hands are going numb, they're tingling and killing you in 20 minutes. The first good ride I did on this bike, and I say good ride, but it was about an hour to an antique bike show, about an hour away from where I'm at now, through the mountains. Pretty fun ride on this thing, which actually leans over substantially far for what it is. The kickstand tracks first of all things, which I may end up moving at some point. But the engine is rigid mounted, and then the forward controls are rigid mounted to the frame as well. So by the time I made it to the motorcycle show, my feet were like uncontrollably tapping. I could not control my muscles from it, just from the vibration in those forwards. I guess the next thing that would be in line would be the look of this bike. I know there's a lot of bikes that kind of have the similar look of this thing, right? It's the typical bobber or chopper, whatever your definition of that might be, but it's kind of the typical look of that. But I should love this bike as I built it to be exactly what I wanted, I really liked the narrow kind of Z-bars, or I don't know exactly what they call those. It's like a Z-bar with an 8 1/4 inch rise, I think is what it is. But these XS's are so narrow, just from everything being so tight and small in these bikes, that I wanted a bar that kind of had my hands in close, to kind of keep the whole thing tucked out. I kind of thought it looked goofy with some real wide ape hangers on it. That's not to say I'll change my mind in the future and throw a set of those on, but I'm constantly messing with this bike, constantly doing stuff with it, working on it because it hates me. But yeah, the look on this thing is it's a head turner. And I don't know if it's because people like the way it looks or they have no idea what it is, but nonetheless, it gets attention. Which fall into my 4th thing of the soul of this bike. I don't know if it's an old motorcycle thing. This is the first old bike, quote unquote, I'll say, that I've owned, but I don't know if it's that. or if it is, you know, that I built this thing, maybe it is the XS650 vibrations and sound and kind of character of it, but there's just something I get out of this bike that I don't get with this, with 2022 KLX 300 Supermoto. You know, that bike I get on, put gas in it, go to work. I know it's gonna get me there. This thing is a little more fun. I never know if I'm gonna get 5 miles out the road, the bolt's gonna fall out and it's gonna be a catastrophe. That happened a couple weeks ago, so that was cool. But that was more of a, I didn't go around and, you know, make sure all the bolts were tight, which I usually do throughout the winter as I'm checking this bike over, you know, looking for issues with it, which you kind of got to do with these old bikes. You know, you never know when it's going to throw a fit on you, and it might be something you've touched before. It might be something that you had no idea was even going to be an issue, like a fork bolt. You know, you never know with these old things, but that's part of the fun and the allure of it to me. I'd say the fifth and final thing would be the customization that is available for these bikes. You know, TC Bros and Mike's XS, a lot of those guys offer all sorts of stuff. And, you know, a little bit of Googling, you'll see these bikes in the Bobber Chopper build. You know, you'll see them like cafes. You'll see them in kind of a stock retro form. And that's something I really enjoy about, and I appreciate all the old bikes. You know, I don't care if it's a Harley or if it's a Triumph, Honda, Yamaha. I love them all. You know, new bikes, old bikes. I get enjoyment out of every one of them. I don't care if it's a Z125 or a Grom. You know, whatever it is. I like seeing people on bikes. I like seeing custom bikes. That's really interesting to me. I like seeing that somebody has a love for something that they wanted to make their own. And the websites have made it really easy on this bike. You know, this bike seems to get more attention, I should say, than like the CB750 or the GS500s or whatever. You know, TC Bros has put a lot of love into these bikes. You know, that's where these forwards came from. That's where all the shift and the brake linkages came from. The air filters, which are terrible, came off Amazon. Don't do that if you're thinking about it. I'm gonna do a video on those at some point. I made that mistake. Those were so hard to tune with the carbs. At any rate, you know, the bars I got off eBay for like 60 bucks. But you can find all sorts of stuff for these bikes nowadays, and they're so cheap, you know. And that's one of the biggest reasons I chose the XS650 as my first build. So I've wanted to build a bike for a long, long time. And don't get me wrong, I would love to have a shovel head, or even an Evo for that matter, to do a build on, but it just wasn't in the price range at the time. And I picked this bike up for 1,500 bucks, you know, it was hard to pass it up. But yeah, guys, with all that being said, those are my 5 favorite things about this bike. And be expecting the 5 things I hate, which is probably going to throw quite the temper tantrum about that the next time I ride. It's going to leave me sitting, but that's okay. We'll do a video on me fixing. I've done a lot of that, and I plan on doing a lot of videos on the mechanical workings of this bike and the things I've had to do to it to kind of keep it going, be it preventative maintenance or, you know, mods I wanted to do. There's been a lot of both, unfortunately. But that's not, you know, I'm not saying it's an unreliable bike by any means. It's an old bike, you know, so with time and mileage comes breakdown. So sounds like a good heavy metal song, maybe. But anyway, if you guys like this kind of content, you know, I plan on doing a lot of, like I said, kind of DIY and things of that nature. I would love to be able to help guys that are trying to build these XS650s back up. You know, I learned a lot off the XS650 forum. If you have a 650 and you've got any kind of like, you know, real bad mechanical issues you can't figure out, post it on that forum. Somebody there will know. And it may even be like that, your first post, your first reply. The guy's like, hey, check this. There it goes, it's fixed, you know. When I was posting on there, it took about a month to find it, but those guys helped me go through every square inch of this bike with confidence and in depth to find the issues that I was having, and it kind of forced me into learning how to work on this bike. So I'm forever grateful for the guys on XS650 forum. If any of you guys are watching, you dudes rock. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Stay tuned. There's a lot more to come.